Three friends boarded Disney's Galactic Starcuiser to seek their destiny and emerged as heroes of the Halcyon.
Bright suns, everyone, and welcome to Heroes of the Halcyon, the best, and only, to the best of our knowledge, Galactic Starcuiser Superfan podcast. I'm Starcuiser Superfan Christine, and with me are...
Superfan Martin.
And Superfan Drew.
So today's episode is going to be us just kind of unloading. We are going on Starcuiser a week from Tuesday, which is the day we're recording today. We've done a lot of prep up until this point. We've got a few things to button up before we go, and then off to the Halcyon.
Second voyage.
So the biggest thing that we've been working on so far, which you have had the opportunity to view, is our YouTube page. As of this recording, we have 2 videos up with our third one coming in just another day or two. So Drew, tell us a little bit about your process in creating your character and what you did to prep for your video.
Sure. So the as we've talked about in some other episodes, I'm bringing back on board the same character, just like you guys are, Zoran Vox. He's a slicer or cyber mercenary, we called him recently. And I really wanted to find a way to figure out who he was and what is making him not like the First Order. And it's the same story that I used when I went before, but because now I want to have something that informs the choices that I make while I'm on the ship and maybe influences how I feel about the people I'm working on, just digging in and creating the story so that we can make the video really was fun, number one. Number two, it was super cool to actually see the experience of what creating a character is like. And I just had just a ton of fun doing it.
Yeah, for me, I'm taking the same character, and I don't mind, actually. I think it's actually really a good thing, because we're building on the characters every time we go. We are scheduled to go a third time next year, before we're even on it this time.
You know you're a super fan when you've planned your third voyage before you've gone on your second voyage.
Exactly.
Well, because the analogy that I have is that page 1 of a Choose Your Own Adventure book is always the same. Anytime, no matter how many times you read it, page 1's the same. So my character and my setup is the same.
Nice. Yes.
But which direction that character is going to go in is going to be different every single time. And again, our backstories are so much richer. We have really detailed accounts of where they've been, what they're doing, and every time we go, I'm going to keep building on that. Yeah, I think that to start from the same point is actually kind of fun to see how it branches differently.
Well, now that you've made the retrospective video, but do you feel like you know Jorg better?
Oh, I do. The very first time that I went on Starcuiser, Jorg was a costume. That's what it was.
A vessel, yeah.
It was, and again, there's a certain element of Jorg that's always going to be the appearance. He's a George Lucas-esque character, but
there's no esque about it.
But
yes.
Now there's a full character there. There's a full history there. He's got his own motivation. He's in trouble. How's he going to get out of this trouble? So really, it's a great jumping off point, because for the best characters for Galactic Starcuiser, in my opinion, are ones that have an element of fun. You don't want to go into it too serious, because so many of the interactions you have, you want to be able to handle the deep moments, the real emotional beats of the story. But like for Jorg's all about fun and bringing fun to whatever situation he's put in. And I'm just so looking forward to seeing how I could just kind of aim this character differently than I did the first time. And stay tuned, dear listeners.
Well, that's one of the things that I'm really excited about this episode. I'm also really excited about doing the episode when we come back.
Yeah.
When we kind of digest what we thought might happen and what, actually did happen. So it'll be very interesting to see if Jorg has that fun, or if is there going to be a resolution to the trouble that Jorg is in. So I'm really excited about that part. How about you, Christine?
Well, I think for this one, we tried really hard to focus on what's the purpose of our characters being there, and is there a way to make those characters work together? again, before whenever we went on, it was more of a costume and a name as opposed to an actual character. And since we've been back, we've done a lot more thought, and the idea of doing these videos and writing a script and doing all of that made you really think a lot more about your characters themselves. And to be able to find a way for those paths to cross was, I think, fantastic. I think it'll make it even, we won't just be playing with the characters there or the cast there. We can play off each other now, where before we were just kind of hanging on to each other like, I don't know what to do next. Like, who should we go talk to? And now it's going to be like, hey, you go do the thing with the guy and you go talk to that girl and I'm out of here. I'm going to go, it'll make more sense to us where we can go kind of adventuring and come back together again instead of, kind of tightly wandering down this path together.
Sure.
Which I think will make for fantastic dinner conversations.
Well, and I think that just the evolution of your character, Captain Maleficent, is so great in that we kind of discovered, how do we bring this character closer to her Maleficent origins? And, she's a half Night Sister, half Ryloth. So she's got, some secret powers going on that are very Night Sister-esque, and that it kind of really dovetails well with Maleficent's, origin.
It's not a secret anymore. Watch the video.
Watch the video.
Right. Our YouTube channel has, by the time you guys listen to this, all of our episodes will be up online, so you'll be able to see our shining faces, our green faces, or our bearded faces, or our antenna stuck to our head, and whatever that was.
Did that antenna come off cleanly, or did you have to kind of...
You'll notice I still have some spirit gum stuck to my head. That's 2 showers later, so it'll be good. It came off without pain, luckily, but it's good. There'll be a residue. It'll be sticking with me for a little while.
Literally.
So Christine, watching your video and digging in, you are so much a smuggler, and your intro kind of brings you in that line. Do you see yourself kind of embracing that, or I know we've talked about how you might resist it, but I watched your video 5 times today.
Aww.
And I really truly did. And when I'm watching the video, I'm also enjoying Mike Forster doing the most amazing Hondo ever.
Oh my gosh!
But I'm seeing Malie. She loves being a smuggler, so. Do you see yourself kind of being pulled in that direction more now after doing this, or?
I do. I mean, I think it's inevitable that, if my ties are to Hondo, that the smuggler path is going to be the most logical path for me to take. But the other thing that I've been thinking, too, is the Ryloth half is definitely a more peace-loving. I mean, the Ryloth planet has just been...
devastated.
Yeah. I mean,
it's just been, and so it's the struggle with what happened to both her mom and to her dad, and how basically the First Order in one way or another has destroyed both of those people for her, and so there may be an opportunity where it makes sense to, yes, I'm there for Hondo, but if the Resistance needs a little bit of help, I can't imagine that I'm going to turn my back.
Of course not.
That's the beauty of, we really put a lot of thought into, the purpose of these characters is to open up story opportunities on the ship for us, or help open those up. And really, all 3 of our characters have been very carefully crafted they can go different directions.
Yep, absolutely.
Depending on how things go.
Yes.
It would be very, very natural for Jorg Sakul to have a heel turn and go First Order. It would be very, very natural for him to want to be the hero and save the ship. I mean, there's so many different ways that this can go, and I just think that between Zoran Vox, Captain Mali and Jorg, so many things can happen.
Well, what do you think is going to happen with Jorg, Martin?
I am aiming for the Resistance path. That's my intent. And of course, as with Starcuiser, which way's the wind blowing is, what am I going to end up doing? But my intention is to go Resistance. I mean, I had so little interaction with the Captain Kevin, which is a character I adore. We had very little interaction with her. I'm going to be trying to steer into that direction, and we'll see where that goes.
So I don't want to put any lines or ideas in your head, obviously, but do you have an approach to talk to the captain?
I do. Jorg Sakul is in trouble. He had a very famous series of holovids retelling the story of the struggle of the rebellion against the Galactic Empire. He made, based on real events, holovids of what we know as Star Wars. And subsequently he had other holovids that went well, but he had a very terrible flop called Polly the Porg. Polly Porg. That unbeknownst to him was funded by some shadowy underworld figures who are now after some payback. So Jorg is on the Halcyon actively looking for heroes so that he can write a story.
So he's looking for his next Luke Skywalker. He's looking for the next Han Solo.
That's exactly what he's doing. I am on the Halcyon looking for heroes.
That's beautiful.
And
that's so good.
So my job is to write a story that I can film at some future later date, but I'm there to find a hero. I think there's going to be heroes aplenty.
Would those be heroes of the Halcyon? Sorry, I really couldn't resist. I'm very sorry.
See what he did there?
Yeah, it's good.
That does come, maybe.
May or may not be said 24 times.
I'm looking forward to just being single-minded. When I shot my video, I was trying to act. Number one, that's always a challenge. But I was trying to very forcefully put forward that Zoran is mad. He wants some payback. He wants to make the First Order pay. And I love when we were writing the videos, Christine, you mentioned the idea of, we can introduce you to the Resistance. And I remember when we were writing back and forth, and that's one thing as a sidebar, when we were writing our scripts, you didn't want to change my lines, and I didn't want to change your lines. We were writing for our characters in the script, which is so freaking cool.
Right.
And so when Malie was saying, "Look, I can gift you with a presence with the Resistance," I remember when I was acting in the video, just like, "Oh, this will be my chance. This is clearly a flawed person who's doing all these skeevy smuggler slicer jobs, but this is my chance to get with the Resistance and go, look, I need to find a way to make these people pay." So I'm hoping to have a similar conversation where I can show my loyalties to the Resistance and see where it goes from there.
It'd be even funny if you infiltrated the First Order. If that's the way that your story, and you could go a lot of different ways. I will say, from a purely production standpoint, it was really fun to watch. You both have to play because you recorded your lines separately. We did it where you recorded your lines first, and Christine had to try to match, and then we ended up having to do it backwards, where Christine recorded her section first, and you had the earpiece in and had to match her lines, and that a lot of work went into making that look seamless, folks.
I can't tell you how magic it was when I lined it all up, and it worked. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then the light bulb, too, that went off is when I was making the videos, originally you were going to be on screen first. Malie was going to be there. And then Zoran was going to show up. But in the edit, I was like, Captain, it's... And I was like, oh, wait, this doesn't make sense. I was like, oh, wait, what if I make Malie come up after me? And when I did, you see Zoran go, Captain, and you smile. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like we planned this, and we did not plan this. So it was fun. And then to find the other moments, like... again, one of the things that I very much enjoy about your video, Christine, is Mike Forrester of Armor Party and Hondo Supply. He voiced Hondo Anaka.
Thank you. So many thank yous. Thank you.
Mackerel, he did so good.
So freaking good.
So it was Malie. I know this is so dorky, but that's why I love this experience so much. It was Malie talking to Hondo.
In Olga's, we had to virtually recreate Olga's Cantina. They don't let you shoot movies at Olga's Cantina in Disneyland or Walt Disney World.
Yeah.
So we had to actually virtually get Malie into Olga's Cantina to shoot this piece, and that was a lot of fun to kind of figure out, okay, how do we do that? And I think it came off.
Yeah, it did.
Really
it came
amazing.
How did you one of the things that I'm curious about is the cup is on the table. Was the table green screened? How did you?
We actually had to do two different colors of screens because we couldn't do green screen for the whole thing because Christine's character, Mali, her face is green. So we had to use blue screen behind her, but then we had to actually have the table because she had to interact with the table. She had to put her hands on the table, the cup on the table, knife in the table. So we had to have the table covered in green screen. So I had to key out both blue and green, and then face track Mali. And I think the overall effect, you think she's in Oga's, and it looks great, and it sounds great, and my video, the Jorg's a Cool video, is really it's almost a comedy.
Sure, it definitely has very laugh out loud moments.
And intentionally. I mean, it's supposed to, it's such a ridiculous concept of this guy's making what we know is Star Wars within Star Wars. I mean, it's kind of a fun concept presented in a very light way, but I really like the fact that, both Mali's and Zoran's videos are more, I don't want to say traditional, they're not traditional, but they're more straightforward.
Mine is very traditional.
Yeah, they're more straightforward Star Wars. But I really like the fact that all three of them feel so different. They really do.
Yeah. Well, I think that the video for Zoran just feels so gritty that you immediately are like, oh, I know who Zoran is.
He's scraping everything he can together to make these guys the First Order pay.
He's lost everything.
No, he hasn't lost everything. He's given up everything. Oh. There's a difference. He's literally trashing every contact connection that he's got to just take one stab at the First Order. And I love the purity. This is what I like about not just the podcast, but filming these things together. Like these little moments that come in. Like we're filming and there's airplanes flying above.
Right, yeah.
And then we're like, inspiration strikes. We're like, you sell it. You're hearing a TIE fighter go by. And I think that moment works magnificently.
It was a fabulous idea, Martin. I totally stole it right away. So yeah, it was good.
But again, just the collaboration that we've had of figuring out, okay, who are the characters, writing the scripts. I mean, you, Christine, wrote 2 pages of dialogue for Hondo Ohnaka, and it sounds
like Hondo Ohnaka.
It's not just that Mike Forrester did a great job, which he did.
I mean, the character,
the writing,
yes.
The voice is completely Hondo Ohnaka, and I literally, I couldn't. When I first read it, it just stunned me how, because we love Hondo, like we love Hondo so much.
Sure,
I love him,
and it just stunned me how much that felt like that could have come out of Lucasfilm. That dialogue.
It was super fun whenever we recorded with Mike because at that point I hadn't done a lot of practice with the script, but I had, I'd written it, so I knew enough of it. And Mike was just like, okay, you ready? Let's go. And it was just like, bam, Hondo. And you're just like, I just stared at the screen like, what is happening?
Oh, so that's how you recorded it? It was a Zoom? Or?
We did it over Zoom.
Nice.
And we actually saved the Zoom. It's amazing to watch because, again, he did have to kind of find the voice.
Absolutely.
But he did it very, very quick. Mike had a lot of faith in us. I mean, we asked him, can you please take time out of your very, very busy schedule to go do this thing? He had no idea what we were going to end up producing.
Right.
He just knew that we were super passionate and that we were going to give it our all to make something worth seeing. And boy, I think we actually rose to that challenge and delivered. So.
Yeah.
Well, for those of you who are still listening, first of all, thank you for listening to this. But what you're hearing, I hope you see in not just the podcast episode we have, but when we have these little unhosted episodes or whatever you want to call non-guest episodes, what you're hearing are 3 people who have found a passion that we didn't really know we had. I mean, Martin, you have made some videos. I've seen some of your videos from previous travelogues that you did, which are incredible, by the way, until I saw the Jorg's a Cool video, and just saw how much you poured of yourself into that. So when people hear us get giddy or they hear me start crying because Christine's, talking about this character that I was like, oh, yeah, she gets it. She got it. She got it. It's like, oh, my gosh. I just hope that, well, number one, I wish for all of you listening that you guys out there find your passion somehow like we've been lucky enough to do. And then also, hey, go on Galactic Starcuiser if you haven't, because it does this to you.
Yeah.
It's incredible how we found, there is a huge community of people. Hundreds of people every 2 days walk off Starcuiser changed. And the fact that we all kind of find each other, and we do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hundreds and thousands strong now, and it's just going to grow.
Yeah.
Hundreds of people every 2 days walk off that thing changed. I love that.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that. I mean, we are pouring so much of ourselves into this because we love it. There's nothing else like it. We just can't stop thinking about it. We can't stop talking about it. Let's actually talk for a bit about, okay, we're going to be on the Halcyon 7 days from today.
Yep.
What are we going to do differently than the first time?
Christine.
I'm going to immediately go find Wraith. That's what I'm going to do. Where the first time when I walked on board, I was like, okay, I'm just going to stand here and kind of look around and
We were back in the
see
corner in the
what's
atrium.
happening. We were all kind of huddled together.
Yep.
And yeah, at this point, I'm walking on that ship like I own that ship. Like Malie owns that ship.
Like Malie's going to own that ship.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to be following Jorg? I mean, are you going to be...
Well, Malie has to keep her eye on Jorg.
Right.
Again, the nice thing about that is that's a very loose thing. Different priorities can take hold of a character, your character, or her character, my character, at any time.
And besides, I'm also there for Hondo. So I have to be, kind of mingling through the crowd and figuring out. There's a fantastic reason for me to quietly mingle. Well,
something else that you're doing specifically is, I mean, Zorn does have a slightly different look, which is super cool. Some accoutrements that really, I think, are very striking. But Christine, you've got a completely alternate look to your character. You've got the classic, green-faced Maleficent that's based on, the animated Maleficent. Well, as we know, they're not going to let you go on Batuu with full face paint anymore. So you've actually created a completely alternate version, still in universe. You can explain why Malie looks different during this point in time because of your Night Sister magics. But this is very much inspired more by the live action Maleficent.
Right.
Again, it's still a Twi'lek Maleficent mashup, but whereas the classic Malie is very animated Maleficent, the excursion version where you can't really paint your face is definitely skewing more live action,
right?
Maleficent inspired. And so it's really been fun to see you create two versions of this character. And that's the trick, is we were really, really bummed that you can't go down on Batuu anymore in full face make. That was really a bummer, but we just figured out, okay, write it into the story.
Sure.
This character does have Night Sister magics. Explain this.
Yes.
Why is she different? She's infiltrating. As in her smuggler role, it would make really great sense why she would try to transform herself into some different appearance.
Right.
So to me, it's really fun to take this huge problem we had as to why we didn't want to be forced into looking different on day 2 than day 1, but we're able to figure that out in universe.
Interesting. So are you going to wear the excursion version all day on day 2?
No.
Okay, so you plan on...
Which is going to make for a very...
Why not wear it all day?
Challenging afternoon.
Because of the CSLs.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
We have CSLs on day 2.
Yeah.
So Christina actually was able to contact the original artist that she had create her in Peru. She's got a fantastic contact in Peru that crafted this original black and purple Leku for her core Captain Maleficent character. And for this one, he created kind of an alternate version where it's black and gray and super, goth looking and still very Maleficent, but very Maleficent as well. And very, very fun that this guy was willing to take the time to he was so impressed how much effort you've put into the character.
Yeah, he did a fantastic job. He is definitely an artist.
So I really am deeply considering bringing a lightsaber because I'd rather have it and not need it.
Yeah.
So this is just for our listeners, is think about your CSLs. Think about where you want them. Think about, Google Galactic Starcuiser CSL. See what other people have done.
Right.
Really come in there with a shot list for your photographer. If there's any props you need, make sure to have them convenient. and accessible. You don't want to have to dig and find them when your CSL time is very precious. I mean, these are 30-minute increments.
Hi, listeners. My name is Liz, and I'm one of the hosts of Three Fates Decide. Our show is about three women who discuss in depth what we love and sometimes didn't love about movies, TV shows, and occasionally other random things. If you want to join in the conversation or maybe learn a thing or two about the variety of topics we cover, check out our podcast. Three Fates Decide is listed on a variety of directories, including, but not limited to, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and Google Podcasts. Visit our website, threefatesdecide.com, to learn more. We post new episodes every Friday. What will we talk about next? We decide.
Well, I know we talked some big talk about closing down the Sublight Lounge. Maybe we won't be able to do that on night one, Christine, because we've got an early morning. But maybe night two is our close the lounge down. So we'll see.
We did not use the Sublight Lounge to its full capabilities last time. We sat down, we had some drinks, it was fun. But this time I don't need to buy all of the souvenir. I mean, we bought like everything in that damn store.
Right.
Yeah, right.
The Chandrilla collection store. Right. I don't need to do that again. So I'm going to put those merchandise funds right to the sub. We're gonna drink those. We're gonna drink our souvenirs.
We'll definitely get one of the what are they called?
We have 4 adults.
The crate reactors.
Yes.
We have 4 adults, so that crate reactor is happening.
Yeah, so that'll be good. That'll be good. So we have talked on this episode about how we're going to go a third time next May 3rd and 4th. So that's super. Okay, come back to Earth, Drew.
I will say quick, everyone, if you want, talk to Sarah J. Mack at Princess and Scoundrel.
Yes.
She's a travel agent. She specializes in Starcuiser reservations. Use a professional.
Yeah. So
and we did it this time, so we can tell you from experience, it is a piece of cake.
I'm not trying to start talking about our third cruise. And that will help, I think, the bleed, the sorrow on day 3.
No, it won't.
That's what I guess I want to talk about.
You think it will, but it won't. The sorrow's still going to be. I mean, I can tell you right now, I am going to be crushed walking off that ship that I have to leave. And even knowing that 7 months later it'll come back and I'll be there again. It's kind of interesting. Drew, you had an observation, is that we went on super early when they opened, and it's been 7 months and we get to go again. Well, our third voyage is almost exactly the same amount of time from our first to our second as our second to our third.
Right. Yeah.
And again, I just love the planning. I have got so many things that I wanted to do for this one as prep and just ancillary projects and whatnot that I didn't have the time. We got a ton of stuff done. We accomplished a lot, but I've got 7 times that ready to go, ready to jump into action for Starcruiser 3. And I just can't wait to get at it. I just can't wait.
So our episode next week, while we're on the ship, is with TC Conway, who leads a Facebook group called Reverse Engineering the Galactic Starcruiser on Facebook. That's where Facebook groups are. I don't know why I said that twice. And in that conversation, he talked about how much the fun for him was the time before the Starcruiser. And that's what we've been living since March 24th or whatever, when we planned this second group. So I agree, there will be a little bit of sadness when we get off. I hear you. But I don't think I'm going to be quite the same. I think I'll be like, oh, I got to leave. But I think I'll also be like, but I'm coming back. And I think that I'm excited about the next planning phase. I don't know if I'm going to be Zorn Vox next time. I can't get over in my head how Nick Tierce said, go with your own name. Don't go as a character. He said, just be your name, because there's something, as he said, primeval about when a character reaches out to you and says, Drew, I need your help to do this. That's going to feel real cool. When TC was mentioning, keep that character close to what you do so that it's even closer, that you don't have a whole construct to make up. I am looking forward to being Zorn Vox next week, but man, it'd be kind of fun to be Drew Gergich on the Starcruiser as well. So
we'll see. For me, I mean, I really have kind of hewed. Jorg Cool is just a heightened, elevated version of myself. I'm not trying to play George Lucas. I don't
No,
know George
because
Lucas.
you don't know George
I
Lucas, right.
don't know George
Right.
Lucas. I would never try to portray George. So to me, I'm kind of doing that right now. I'm just doing it elevated.
Sure, sure.
Martin turned up to 11. I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah.
But I think that's really good advice. I think the further you steer away from your life experiences as your core character, it just becomes harder to emotionally identify with what's happening.
Right. Well, I tell you what, I'm going to pin you guys to the wall I want 2 predictions from each of you. I'll give 2 myself as well. But 2 predictions that you think are going to happen when we go on this ship in a week. And let's see where things are when we get off. I'll start with you, Martin.
Oh boy, predictions. I predict Christine is going to go full smuggler.
Okay, so now you won that one.
That to me is an absolute given. I want so badly to go full First Order. I don't think I can do it this time, but I think for Starcuiser 3, there's a real good chance. Even if I have to write in that I'm infiltrating the First Order, but I really want to see that path. I really want to see it. Even if I swerve out of it at the last second and say, oh, I'm spying for the Resistance or whatever. I don't know. But I really want to see the First Order path because I saw none of it the first time. I'm probably going to see none of it this time. So that's my other prediction is that I just...
Wait, that's your prediction for the 3rd cruise. I want a prediction for your 2nd cruise.
Well, I will predict that for this one, I'm not going to go Resistance or not going to go First Order.
Okay.
Now, we'll see. We'll see if they can seduce me to the dark side of the Force. I'll go willingly if it seems like a good time.
If there's enough money to produce a new video.
So that's mine. Is that I predict that Christine's going to go smuggler, and I'm going to predict that I will not be going First Order this trip. But that remains. That's my challenge to the Croy performer on our voyage. Come get me.
Seduce you right over to the dark side.
Christine?
Well, I mean, if you're going to go easy, I predict that I'm going to cry. Well, I mean, I do predict that as far as the data pad is concerned, I'm going to have a high level of
familiarity and what's the other one?
Trust.
Is it trust? Okay.
Yeah, so minimally familiarity with all the characters.
Yeah.
I mean, like Martin had said before, and I think you said too, we were so focused on this little piece of the story that I didn't say anything to Captain Keevan. I didn't say anything to Lenka. I don't think I said anything to Sammy. Well, there's no reason for me not to talk to all of them, whether I go along that path or not.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my prediction is that sucker's gonna skyrocket this time.
Gotcha.
The familiarity is.
Yep.
Yeah. See, what's been fascinating is that we, all 3 of us, to some extent, have been avoiding full-blown story spoilers until this voyage is done. But I for myself, the moment we're off Starcuiser 2 next week, the gates are open for me, and I'm not going to hold back from seeing anything at that point. I'm dying to know. I wanted to stay a little bit unspoiled for Starcuiser 2, but for Starcuiser 3, I'm going to know every beat, everything, and I'm going to want to watch the mechanics at play, and because I can do that with one side of my brain and still just be completely lost in the story and the characters with the other. But where are you both with that? Are you both going to...
Well, wait, I want to hear Drew's predictions first.
So I'm going to go with the easy ones first. I predict I will have at least 2 plates of the bantha beef. I can tell you that right now. That's going to happen. No, seriously. I predict that I'm going to have more smuggler than I anticipate. I'm not going to resist it, but I'm not going to do it unless Wraith makes it personal. I don't want to just kind of happen into it like we did last time, even though we couldn't really remember how we got into it last time. But unless Wraith makes it personal, I don't think I'm going to do much smuggler. For my second prediction, I think I'm going to predict that I'm trying not to go easy, because the easy one is that so many people on Batu will go, is that George Lucas over there? I don't know if I think it is. But I think for the harder prediction, I think I'm going to form a more personal relationship with somebody besides Wraith. Kind of the prediction that I'm making. We'll see if that comes true.
I am going to kind of try to aim more toward one focused path.
I am too. A more pure
storyline
is the way I'm thinking it.
Yeah.
how do I make the First Order pay for what they did to my family? So,
I cannot wait for you to stand in front of Croy. That's going to be dynamite. That is going to be electric.
I don't know if it will. I'm scared to stand in front of Croy now, but wow, that's a good point. Yeah.
There's that moment.
Well, cool. Well, I very much enjoyed talking with you guys about these predictions. I can't wait to talk to you in 2 weeks when we kind of do a decompression and then actually start talking about Starcuiser 3. But it's going to be great.
I can't wait.
I'm so thrilled that I've deepened our friendship and really enjoyed exploring this nice niche hobby of the Star Wars universe. So we hope you listen in a week when we talk to T.C. Conway with the reverse engineering the Starcuiser. It's a fabulous conversation, and we'll see you guys on the other side.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's always fun to shoot the poodoo with all the Starcuiser superfans out there. So until next episode, when we're off the Starcuiser, it's our honor. Let's raise our glasses with the Halcyon toast. Tabuite!